How's it going, fellow reefers? As always, God bless you and thank you for being here. I'm Gage and this is Candy Coral Aquatics. If you're new to my channel, please think about subscribing and hitting that notification bell because this is where I talk about all things reefing, but more importantly, where I share the information I've gathered with you guys on my tank to help you become better hobbyists at the hobby we call reefing. Today, I'm going to show you guys the appropriate technique when using the Hanna checker. So for those of you that are getting tired of messing with all the liquid solution tests and having to try to, color match everything like I was, the Hanna checker is going to be something that is going to make life a lot easier for you, and it's going to actually give you far more accurate results. Now, recently I purchased the Hanna checker for calcium, alkalinity, and phosphate readings for my tank. So now those are 3 tests that I don't have to try to guess. I know that I'll get the correct measurements every time. However, there's a lot more involved than just slapping it in the checker, pushing a button, and getting a reading. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the appropriate technique on how to actually use this Hanna checker to make sure you're getting the most accurate readings every single time. So upon opening up your alkalinity checker, and I just want to let you guys know that this video is going to be the same pretty much for all Hanna checkers. The only real difference is obviously what you're checking for and the types of solution used, but the technique is going to be the same. If you guys want me to make a video on the calcium and phosphate checker, I can do that as well, but just know the technique is going to be the same for all of them. So when you open up your box, your whatever Hanna checker you've purchased, you're going to have the checker, the solutions needed, probably some syringes, the reagent that we're going to be adding. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get a sample of your tank water. Now, it's very important that the tank water that you pull out of the system doesn't have any debris in it, okay? It needs to be nice, clear water. They come with these vials here. Let me see if I can get this to focus better. Okay, and you can see here that there's a line right there. It's in white. It's kind of hard to see, but it says 10 milliliters. Okay, so when you put water in a glass vial or glass of any kind, it forms what's called a meniscus, which is like this valley kind of shaped, bowl-shaped, thing that happens to the water where the water molecules are kind of, coming in contact with the glass molecules, and I don't know, science, it forms what's called a meniscus, okay? They attract each other. So that dip that happens when you're filling this up to the 10 milliliter mark, make sure that, the top of the water is not at the 10 millimeter mark, but the bottom of that meniscus is at the 10 millimeter mark, because that's where the water is actually dipping down. So that's where you want to get that accurate reading. So after you have your 10 milliliters of tank water, the next step is, hold this up to the light, make sure there's no debris in there, and then look at the glass itself. Wipe it off, with a cotton shirt or a microfiber towel or something to make sure that there's no debris or water of any kind on the outside of the glass and that the glass doesn't have fingerprints all over it. From here on out, you're going to want to be very careful of where you actually put your hands on this, because if you're touching the center of it where the reading is going to be, you can actually throw the reading off with your fingerprints or anything else that could come in contact with the glass. So I like to hold it on the top and the bottom. So now here's my plain tank water I pulled right out of the tank. The next step to this is we're going to take the Hanna checker. All right, we're going to push it on. You can see where it says C1, add and press. So what it's telling us to do is add our sample. So let me go ahead and open this up. Now, this is also very important. Make sure you put the vial in the same way every time, because the glass can be imperfect and there can be imperfections, in the making of the glass. Make sure you insert this the same way every time so the readings are always, done the same way. So what I like to do is where the 10 millimeter mark is, I like to set this inside with that 10 millimeter right in the middle. Okay, so I kind of just turn the vial until I can see that 10 millimeter is right, kind of in the middle of here as close as possible. So then I know that every time it's going to be measuring in the same place on the glass. Then we close the lid, give it a press, and what it's going to do is it's going to zero the meter. Any second now. Okay, so now the meter is zeroed. Now it says add and press C2. So that took a little bit longer than expected. The first time I did this, it was a lot quicker, but I don't know. So then we're gonna head and pull this out. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our alkalinity reagent. So let me grab that. I drew it up for sake of time already, so it's ready to go.
Okay,
So here is our vial. Here is our 1 milliliter of alkalinity reagent. We go ahead and add that to our vial. You're going to see a color change. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to replace the lid. Okay, and remember to hold it at the top and the bottom. And we're just going to gently invert this back and forth, a handful of times. The instructions specifically say 5 times. But you just want to make sure that you're inverting it back and forth to get that mixed up real well. You can see that there's a color change there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add it back into the checker, being mindful of our finger placement, right? So I'm going to grab it by the cap here. Make sure that 10 millimeter mark is right in the center like it was before. Close that, and then we're going to go ahead, push the button, and in a few seconds here we should get our reading. And there we are, 8.1. So I like to keep an alkalinity between 8 and 8.5, so it's okay. It might be just a little bit low, but one thing I want to note, because I was curious of this, which is also why I wanted to make this video, I want to tell you guys about a product that I started adding to the tank. So this is by Aquavitro. I think it's actually from the Seachem line, but their Aquavitro is just like their more advanced line or what have you, their more premium line. But anyways, this is called 8.4, and what it's designed to do is raise the pH of the tank to 8.4. Now by doing so, if you read the bottle, it'll actually tell you that it does this by raising the carbonic alkalinity. So it will raise alkalinity in efforts to raise pH. Now, some of you might be thinking that, why can't you just add alkalinity to raise pH? Well, there's some other buffering factors that go into this product to actually raise the pH besides alkalinity, but it does affect the alkalinity. That is, kind of how we have to raise the pH. So what's interesting about this is before I added this, my alkalinity was 7.6, so I needed to do some dosing. After adding the appropriate amount to my 60-gallon tank, it was just 1 dose, it raised it from 7.6 to 8.1. Now, the reason that this is, a big deal, or the reason that, this is something that we need to be checking, is you can only raise your alkalinity by 1.4 per day. So we went from 7.6 to 8.1. So we're still in that safe range. However, this is now telling me, okay, well, it raised my alkalinity by that much. My alkalinity is now good, stable, set to go. So let's say hypothetically I checked my pH and my pH was still low. Well, I now know that after doing an alkalinity test, I cannot raise my alkalinity anymore as of today. So tomorrow, if my pH is still not where I want it to be, I can go ahead and I can add another dose of 8.4, recheck my alkalinity, and then make sure that, it's not getting too high, and then just kind of go from there. But that's just a little side note that I did want to kind of give you guys, because if you are dosing multiple things, just be aware that, they can affect the overall quality, of the tank. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind when you guys are testing. So that's how you appropriately use the Hanna checker. The last part of this that I kind of want to go over with you guys is, once you have your reading, okay, and you're satisfied, or you got a dose or whatever it is that you have to do, when it comes to cleaning this, it's very, very important that you do this a specific way. So go ahead and rinse this out. Now, because I tested twice, once before and then once for this video, I just, dumped this out and I rinsed out any other solution that could have been in here with tank water. I didn't want to use fresh water or anything like that because I wasn't storing it. So I just cleaned it out with tank water, and then added the tank water again, and then added the reagent, after I had dosed my 8.4 to get my new reading. So now that I'm done with this, you have to clean these a specific way. You can't use tap water because there is, calcium and other things in well water, and as that dries, it will leave a residue behind, and it'll completely 100% throw your testing off. You might as well just throw the thing in the garbage after that. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is dump all this out, and you need to rinse this off with RO water that is at 0 TDS, or distilled water, and that's how you clean these. And then once that stuff dries, there isn't any residue left behind. And then it would also be my recommendation that even if you use distilled water or RO water to clean these, before you test, get some tank water, put it in here, and shake this vigorously, and then dump it out, and then do it again, shake it vigorously again, and dump it out. And then you'll be all good to go. You won't be you won't be able to make any mistakes because you stored it after cleaning it with distilled or RO water, so there's no residue. And then by rinsing it out with the tank water, you're making sure there's no residue, and you're rinsing the sample vial with the sample you're going to be testing. So there's really no room for error there. So I hope this video has helped, guys. And like I said, you can use the same technique when using any other Hanna checker. So until next time, guys, take care and God bless. And as always, leave your questions and comments down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. See ya.